KevG weather overview. I want to take a look at the reason why Isaias was such a formidable storm across the tri-state area. And I think the one reason, if I had to put it down as one reason why this storm was so formidable, is because of the speed at which the storm moved up the eastern seaboard. This is the weather map for around 2 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. You can see the storm center is near Philadelphia. Now, a lot of forecasts had the storm reaching New York City at 8 o'clock, the center, that is. But as we saw, the storm was all the way up in Albany around 5 o'clock, and our skies were clearing out, and the damage had already been done. When you have a fast-moving tropical cyclone, even though it's a tropical storm, or even if it were a minimal tropical storm, it would still pack a wallop because of the rate at which it's moving, the fast forward speed, and also the time that it takes to wind these things down and make them weaker. It just didn't have time to really weaken like it would have if it just kind of lingered near the mid-Atlantic coast, even by a number of hours. So these small differences made a huge impact on our weather, and this is why we had so many power outages. This is the power outage map from August 4th, and you can see that this is just going back a couple of days. We're still dealing with power outages across the tri-state area 2 days later, and this is the cleanup operation from, a strong tropical storm. I mean, if this were a hurricane, I think we'd be looking at widespread power outages for days and in some places even weeks. Now, I'm bringing all this up because new revised forecasts are coming out from both the National Hurricane Center and from the Colorado State University folks who do the seasonal hurricane forecasts, and this is an ominous sign, and this is something that we really need to pay attention to. The NOAA forecast in May was calling for 13 to 19 storms. They revised it up now to 19 to 25 named storms. Now, we've already had 9 named storms, so they are calling for at least 10 to 15 more named storms in what is going to become potentially an epic hurricane season. I mean, you got to go all the way back to 2005 for the amount of activity that NOAA is calling for, and they're revising their numbers upward. They're still going with 3 to 6 Category 3 or higher hurricanes. That hasn't changed, but they've slightly increased their number of hurricanes total from 6 to 10 to 7 to 11. Now, Colorado State University, they also have a hurricane forecast that they've been doing for about 30 years or so, and their numbers are very ominous. They've increased their number of storms up to 24, with 12 hurricanes, 5 of those being major hurricanes. So this also includes the 9 that we've already had, the 9 named storms. So while I do expect a downturn in activity over the next 10 to 15 days, what I think you can take away from all of this is that we are going to have a tremendously active season in the Atlantic. I can't tell you whether we're going to get hit again, but what I can tell you is that although we've been doing nothing but preparing and stocking up and being vigilant the last 3 months with everything that's gone on, what I can tell you is that, we have to prepare also for these types of storms in the next 1 to 2 months, because we just never know. We're going to be dealing with a lot of activity. We're going to be dealing with a lot of tracking. And it is going to be a very, it's going to be a time of vigilance if you watch the weather, especially if you live close to the coast. And even if you don't, you see what kind of inland impacts these types of storms have. So to reiterate, we are looking at a potentially epic end to the hurricane season. We have only just begun based on what I'm seeing from a lot of these forecasts out there, which are calling for a very active 1 to 2 months of hurricane activity in the Atlantic Basin.